Bubbles and broomsticks, witches and wizards, you are now tuned in to the Disney Holic Show.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Holic Show. That's Jen Diz.
And that's Mike TV.
We're exploring the mystical realms of the Marvel Universe with our final review of Agatha All Along, including its connections to the Wizard of Oz and Disney's on and off history with the Land of Oz. Then we have a Patreon topic all about Disney princes. Dee-ba-dee-ba-doop,
Can
You
I
know
kick
what?
the show off with a real quick fun fact?
Fun fact.
I'm going to see Fat Cat Swinger playing in Disneyland in 2 weeks.
They are the wonderful band that does our episode intro every
Yep.
episode. Yeah. Very cool.
Sorry. I just had to throw that in because I'm just really excited about it. Okay,
Fat Cat,
carry
we were
on.
dancing to it. Okay, so Halloween is still not ending because this is now I think our second episode after Halloween where we're still going to be talking about things like witches. And I'm okay with that, right? It should, right.
I'm always okay
It
with
should
that.
just
Yeah,
be Halloween all the way up till Christmas Eve. That would be fine.
that would be
Um,
great.
all right. So
Or annually.
annually, I do want to do a Halloween tree and a Christmas tree. That way I have my tree up for 6 months.
Uh-huh.
Am I doing
I
the
like
math
that.
right?
I actually am
5 months
totally
or
here for
something.
that.
Yeah. I mean, and you could keep it up longer and go into like Valentine's, but I'm not really a Valentine's person. I guess Easter.
Oh, that seems corny for
Yeah.
some reason. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not here for that one.
Just something that Jack Skellington would like, just Halloween, Christmas, and that's it.
True.
Okay. Now, the reason why we're talking about witches again is because Agatha All Along, the Disney Plus series made by Marvel Television, wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. So we gave everybody time to watch the finale. And we did a mid-season review a handful of episodes ago. So this is sort of going to be our big final review. And I have a lot of fun facts to share along the way for you about the show.
Good. Sweet.
Yeah. So I don't think we're on the same page about how much we loved it, but that's always fun with us Disneyholics. What is, if you were to give it out of 5 stars or five broomsticks, 1 through 5, now that the whole series is complete, what would you give?
You know, I'm leaning to say 4 out of 5, but I'm gonna say 3 out of 5 because
Okay.
I feel like if there was a 3.5 option, I would go with that. But yeah, 3 out of 5.
I am still a strong 5 out of 5. I think we're kind of the same as we were at the mid-season check-in. Can't remember. Our memories
Yeah,
are so
not
bad.
much has changed for me.
Yeah.
And there's reasons behind that I need to maybe rewatch it all over. I don't know like how I can
I do want to do a
I don't know what
rewatch.
I need.
A lot of the fans who did rewatches, and then I'm like watching their YouTube videos about it. It's so different, and you catch everything supposedly. And when I see these little TikTok clips of it, I'm like, duh, this and that. Of course, this and that, which we'll get to, right? Like some of the big twists and or narrative changes right toward the end. So yeah, let's just dive into it. Agatha All Along, Disney Plus. Magic, mystery, twist. It stars Catherine Hahn. She reprises her role as Agatha from WandaVision. And I really loved her performance here, and the character in both. But what I find really fascinating to talk about today is also all of the connections to the Wizard of Oz in Agatha All Along, this series particularly. And right now, Wizard of Oz is in vogue because Wicked is about to come out, the
Right.
musical live action adaptation of the book of the telling of Wizard of Oz. Oh my gosh, it's very meta. But we'll get to
Yes.
Wicked later. So there's a lot of parallels, and they are really deliberate between Wizard of Oz and Agatha all along. The show's creator, her name is Jack Schaefer. She also did WandaVision. And when it all came together at the end, so spoilers are coming, right? In the last two episodes, you realize this whole Witch's Road that we've been on with all the puzzles and the way it looked, everything was created by by Billy Wiccan. And so that was a cool reveal to me because it's like, oh, he's just like his mom, and here it is. It happened twice, and we didn't know we were in the hex, and they got us again the whole time. I thought that was mind blowing. What did you think about the like twist?
So I still can't tell if he knew he was. No, I think it's the same as Wanda, where she wasn't
Right.
necessarily super like cognizant that she was creating it, right?
Yeah, he didn't know either
Yeah.
until we knew, until the audience knew.
Right. And then that's when he was like, it's all my fault, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because of the parallel with Wanda. Otherwise, it was just kind of whatever. It gave me that kind of like if it wasn't like if it didn't match Wanda, then it would be like, oh, it's one of these things where like, oh, we just woke up and it was all a dream, like that kind of thing, you know? So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. But I do like that, it's his mom, kind of,
His
sort of.
mom.
So,
He
yeah.
prefers to just call her Wanda because I think he feels close to the mom of William, who's the body in which he inhabited. This is a really weird show to talk about without context. There's also when you said, "Oh, they wake up at the end and it's just a dream," Wizard of Oz. And oh,
True.
and you were there, and you were there, and you were there. And so like all of these things that were reflected in the Witch's Road, um, not necessarily people, but the way they hid it in this one was everything in his bedroom. Every time we saw his bedroom throughout the series had every single thing that was on the Witch's Road. So when you watch it back now, it's like, duh, like there's so many, and
Oh.
it's so the attention to detail to make it all like this puzzle that fits together if you want to keep investigating is just so smart. So one of the things that I loved in mid-season, it was when we did our review a few episodes ago, was when they revealed that teen was Billy Maximoff, aka Wanda's son. And you know how the fans have been speculating so long. I hope that's Billy. I hope that's Billy. That would be so cool if they bring Wiccan into the series. So they revealed it at the very end of one of the episodes. You saw like a crown, and we saw that he was wearing the costume colors. They didn't outright say the name yet, but Agatha did say when she saw him getting all crazy, she goes, you're just like your mother.
Yep.
And then it went straight into a Billie Eilish song that's all about wearing the crown. And then in his bedroom, he has a poster of her album. And so it's like, oh, no wonder he was even controlling the music we were hearing at the end of these episodes. He was controlling even the end credits. If you think about it, all the end credits have items from his room. It has like the Wicked Witch from Oz. There's a craft poster that he has in his room of the movie. So that's why she shows up in the end credits, which is yet another crazy Wizard of Oz connection. So Disney made Return to Oz, starring Fairuza Balk, who also was the main witch in The Craft.
Ah, right, right.
And so like it just keeps going so much that I just smile because I'm like, wow, they really like thought through this. This is really cool. And then when we did the mid-season review, we talked a lot about I really pointed out the set design and how it looked paper sometimes and kind of fake, and they wanted it to look like old Wizard of Oz backgrounds where it keeps going through a painting, and everything was practical on set, the trees and the leaves. So that makes more sense now too, because it was all made up. And then the way that they showed Rio, aka Lady Death, she at one point left the road by sticking a knife through what we thought was just air, but it was the backdrop of this fake witch's road. Scene was really cool when she walked through it. It's like, what? What is happening? Um, So yeah, I just want to say like bravo to that team. I could tell they put so much love into it, and I feel like they're all like theater kids, both the production theater kids and the Broadway theater. Like they all came together and just had like a nerdy, goofy time. And the more I watch like the behind the scenes or the interviews, the cast seemed to just love each other. Like they really had fun.
Aw,
They
that's
know each
cute.
other's texting styles. They were like, yeah. Aubrey never texts back. She takes so long, blah blah blah, and they both like agreed with it. Just little cute things like that. I thought was pretty cool. What else about
Sweet.
Agatha? So, I did want to mention how heartbreaking the backstory was, which they left until the very final episode. We got to see Agatha's backstory, and we finally find out that Nicholas Scratch there isn't this horrible story. She didn't sacrifice her son or anything. It was so much more complicated. He was meant to not be born, and she was able to beg her girlfriend, her lover, who happens to be the embodiment of death, to let her keep him longer. And so Rio said, okay, I can only give you some time. So you never know how long this kid's going to stay
Mm,
alive. Just heartbreaking. And then the it all made sense because in the very beginning of this series, at one point, Rio says to Agatha, um, I've already made way too many exceptions for you, like than anyone else in the history of the
right.
world. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, death is supposed to come when it comes. And she, because they had a fling, a love together. And so that was just sad that Nicholas Scratch was the kid and he was the person who first started creating the song, The Witch's Road. And then together they created the song, The Mom and Son. You find out that she ends up using this song as a way to lure other witches who are looking for community to come over and she steals their powers. Wow, it's just so complex, like all the things. And she's a lot like Wanda. She was doing that as a way to grieve, and it kept her connected to her son by using this song, but it still kept her doing that horrible serial killer vibe that she was doing anyways. But like Wanda losing her kids, Wanda losing this and that, and going on Multiverse of Madness. I hope they do more with these characters because the show did so well, at least viewership wise. So, it has pretty good reviews like on Rotten Tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. So they've
Yep.
created some really interesting characters in this mystical world that we haven't seen much of the MCU. I do know that coming up next is a third series. And so it's meant to be a trilogy, apparently, of the Maximoff saga. And
Oh,
it's making sense now. Like they
wait
couldn't
a
really
second.
say that until you watched the second one, Agatha.
Is it supposed to be a, wait, tell me that again?
Yeah, so there's going to be three limited series. We've seen two
Limited
so far.
series. Okay.
We saw Wanda and Agatha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
then the third one should wrap up the Maximoff saga,
Got it.
which I don't
Okay.
think would have made sense for them to explain that until after Agatha, because you needed to know that Billy existed to be like, oh,
Yeah.
they're kind of like the Skywalkers have all their drama in Star Wars. So here's the Maximoffs. And then that also means they can put them in all the other movies. Like Wiccan is probably going to be in some sort of Young Avengers. Scarlet Witch is supposedly getting her own feature film finally, and she'll be playing a big role in some of the new Avengers movies. So perhaps these three series lead up to that. But I'm really excited about the third one because it's already being playful. So it's the same creator, Jack, and this one's called Vision Quest. And if you remember at the end of WandaVision, there's a new Vision that's called White Vision, and he's all pure white, and
Mm-hmm.
he still has some of the memories of the old Vision, but we don't know what happened to him. So this series should be about that, and then we don't know what else it's going to be about. But what the fans are hoping is they are on a quest to find Tommy, who's the other twin or the other brother,
Mm.
Billy's brother, who at the end of Agatha all along, Billy found a way through Agatha's coaching to get Tommy's soul and put him in a new body. We just never got to see the body or the actor cast as that body. It was some kid drowning in a pool who was supposed to die, and then he got Tommy and pulled his soul into there. And I was just like, oh, Tommy's now in the MCU somewhere. And I was actually hoping it was going to be Ralph Bohner that he puts him into, because that would have been full circle. And then you finally get Tommy back as the actor from the Fox X-Men whole thing. But so we'll find out who this kid is. It's
Is Tommy older than Billy?
in, yes, technically. So
Okay,
what
so it
I'm
could be him
it could
still.
be, but
Maybe.
what's
Yeah.
interesting is, yeah, he could have put him in any body. So I wonder, does he also have to find an age appropriate body? That's so funny. Um, wow, 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 wow. And the other part
That's
that I
true.
thought was cool about Agatha coaching Billy on how to do some of that dark magic was in the comic books. Agatha, her most of her purpose to be in and out of these Marvel comics was just being the mentor and teacher of Wanda slash Scarlet Witch. So now in the MCU version, it's her mentoring her son. And it just makes it so so much more special because of what happened with her real son and her character.
Hmm.
And so, and then just the drama she has with Wanda, like they're this one kind of like effed up family now. And Agatha is part of it, whether they like it or not. So, anyways, hopefully Vision Quest is about finding Tommy and reuniting Billy and Tommy, and then we'll get the full Maximoff family. That would be really cool.
Hey, I guess. And we don't have any knowledge of what it's going to be like.
That's all so far. Vision Quest and the same uh showmakers.
I wonder if they're going
Um
to be announcing it this weekend at D23. Wait, it already
Brazil.
happened, right? It's
I
over already. No,
I
it's this
know.
weekend, coming weekend.
I've been following some of the
God.
announcements that were announced on Friday, this past Friday before our episode, which is yeah, technically today. Whoops.
Hey, we're
Um
recording early because we're going to
we're
Disney World. I
recording
think that's a fair
early.
excuse,
We have
right?
a full Orlando episode coming up for y'all. Um, but yeah, the D23 announcements so far have been like, I'm kind of not too sad that I didn't make the planned trip out to Brazil. I'm just
Oh,
like,
you just
oh,
wait. It's the first
okay.
day,
I hope,
isn't it?
yeah, I hope so.
None of the
And
good announcements come on Friday.
a lot of it was videotaped, like the celebrities. So people were in the hall today got announcements just for video, like, hey, we're announcing Ice Age 6, which is weird because Disney
Oof.
owns Ice Age now because of
I didn't know
Fox.
that either.
I don't like it.
Oh,
It's like Five Below or TJ Maxx. Like, don't.
yeah.
It's not the same. It's not the
Ross.
same. Um, what else? Okay, so I can go on and on about Agatha. I was just really unexpectedly engrossed in the story and all the behind the scenes stuff, and I thought it was just going to be this corny Halloween show. And for me, I really liked it. And then the Wizard of Oz stuff just got more fascinating the more I dug into it. And there's a lot you could look online if you want to read interviews from Jack, like where she talks about just even the people on the road with whoever you thought was the protagonist at the time, whether it was Agatha or Billy. They all had different things, like they needed to be taught something about love or something about smartness. So things like the lion and the Tin Man and all that. So she
Mm.
had it all kind of in there on purpose, which love, love, love. Anyways, let's keep going down the yellow brick road. What do
Okay,
you
wait,
know? Yeah, yeah,
can
yeah,
I
yeah.
ask you first? I just want to get your opinion on this because this is something I keep thinking about because this is a very big difference between the two of us. I don't watch hardly any of those YouTube follow-up videos, and I know it creates like a lot of you understand things a lot better, you catch things
Yeah.
you didn't see. Do you think like I feel like it's changing the way things are done because now like you're not getting like there's stuff that you cannot get. Like there's stuff you might see but you can't catch all of it. And like do you think you have to watch those along nowadays to
I
get
think
the
it
full
I think because
experiences?
they're fan created, I enjoy it. It's almost like, a lot of the like big tentpole shows now have their own podcasts after. It'll be like HBO Game of Thrones podcast.
Right, or like Talking Dead and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are all to me like extensions of it. So if you want to play along more, I feel like you should be able to get the basic story or the basic gist of whatever content you're watching.
Okay, so
And
you feel like
then
you're still getting that out of the show without these videos?
yeah, I
Because
I
I
think
don't.
it's more about
I'm not.
the I think what makes this one, I would say, different though, is it's part of the MCU, which is already so cumbersome for just the
Very
average
true.
person. Like we were lucky enough that we were in our prime 20s. Isn't that weird? Like when Iron Man first came out. But there's people now who have to catch up, I think, on things.
Right.
And then with Deadpool, that brought the whole Fox universe into the MCU. So you wouldn't get a joke about Ralph Bohner if you didn't watch now WandaVision
Yeah.
or the first couple of Fox X-Men with a young cast. Wow. So I think it's double. Yeah, I think you're gonna miss some of the Marvel stuff in a show like this if you're not caught up on everything, which is almost impossible.
Hmm.
But you will learn about like fun. I think it's mostly Easter eggs, is what a lot of the YouTube videos will say. And some of them I've already were caught on to, and I'm like, aha, I got it right, or I didn't see it at
It does feel
all.
good when that happens. You're like, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say it just adds to the fun of it.
Okay, that's good. If it keeps at that level, it's good. I feel like maybe I just wasn't able to give my attention to this show for whatever reason. It just like I couldn't pay attention to it. It just did not catch me. So maybe I just missed too much because of that. Because I was just like, what? Some of the things, and then thankfully I have you, and I think everybody that's on my level needs a friend like you in their life to explain all this stuff to them
Never
or
had a friend
watch
like
YouTube
me.
videos.
And you know what?
But yeah,
It's also tricky with adaptations of anything. So if I watch a movie based on a book, like I recently did, it was one of those horror lake movies that we talked about on our Halloween episode. I found that it was based on a book. So then I had to go watch all the YouTubes because I wanted to see the differences, and I would still get entertained learning about these things. And I wasn't even part of that fandom, but I'd be like,
right.
"Oh, wow, that's interesting how they changed that for the series and blah 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 blah." Yeah, so it adds to it. Probably the closest thing we had to it back in the day were like the DVD. I always used to watch or listen to those, the director's track
Same. Oh yeah,
where
they
they
would like
talk over it.
talk you through it, yeah, or
Yeah.
like special features on DVDs and stuff too.
Yeah,
Did
special
you know they have
features.
that on Disney Plus?
Yeah,
Not a lot of
yeah.
people know that. They just think it's just the movie only. And I'm like, no, there's actually all this other content on there. I don't know if that's on all the other things too, like Netflix and
Some,
stuff.
yeah. I know
Sometimes.
Apple TV does. They're called Apple Extras or whatever. But you have to buy the movie. I like that with Disney Plus. It's just part of the package.
Right.
And do you remember when Disney Plus first launched? Bob Iger kept talking, or maybe it was Chapek, kept talking
But
about how they're going to integrate shopping and all this.
oh
So
yeah.
I've seen it on there. It just never got me to look at it. This was the first show that got me. So when you're navigating through the episodes, because I would always be looking at like 3 minutes before, waiting to refresh it, you can navigate to this thing that calls shopping, and it opens up Shop Disney, or now called Disney Store, on the
Oh
TV,
wow.
and you can see items, and then you can scan it with your phone and continue shopping on your phone if you prefer. There's like a QR code. And I had a whole cart full of Agatha crap, and then they don't ship to Mexico, and I was like, okay, I'm just turning this off. Like I'm not paying for They got me. I almost bought a whole bunch of stuff that I did not need. But I was like, okay, I see it. It still feels very early, kind of like forced, putting a website like you could just go to the website. But there was something cool about it. And I think if, as long as you have a Disney Plus account, they had, or people who go through that feature menu, you have, I think, a couple of weeks to buy it before anyone else who doesn't have Disney Plus can buy it. So,
Mm,
yeah,
that's kind of
between
cool.
that and the extras you mentioned behind the scenes, it's getting interesting in the streaming world.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wizard of Oz. what were your like just kind of going into this episode, what do you know off the top of your head about Disney and Wizard of Oz, if any?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Tell me all the things.
So,
I mean, I know a lot about Disney. I know enough about what Wizard of Oz, but not them together.
not together. Okay. So, Wizard of Oz is a book by L. Frank Baum, and the book was written in 1900. Isn't that wild? So,
It just
and
sounds
it's
crazy that it's an even
1900.
number too.
It's been yeah, over a century, and it's been in public domain for quite a while. I don't have the exact year, but for quite a while it's been in public domain. I think shortly after the original 1939 MGM film The Wizard of Oz, which is how most of us know the story, right? Is from the movie with starring Judy Garland and the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Oz and the iconic black and white to Technicolor shift that happened, which was like such a cool thing at the time. Like that was their avatar in 1939.
Hell,
It
can
was
you
like,
imagine? No, like
what?
seriously, just sit in that for a second. Imagine only seeing black and white films, and all of a sudden you're in the movie theater and the whole thing. First time seeing color on a screen. Like that,
So crazy.
that has to be crazy.
It's like wiping your eyes. You're like,
Yeah, like
whoa.
what? Like, did I take some mushrooms before I came to this movie? What's
Like,
going on here?
what is
What do
this?
they even have back then? I don't even know what they had around. Mushrooms are organic, so yeah.
Some sort of they had opium or something.
Opium, there
Um,
you go.
so a fun fact, we'll get to the Disney stuff, but a fun fact about that original film is one of the most memorable things are the ruby red slippers that
For
Dorothy
sure.
wears. Do you remember where she gets the slippers?
Yes, she got them because during the tornado in Kansas, the house landed on the witch and she took her ruby red slippers right off her
Yes.
black and white striped feet. Were they black and white striped, or is that me just
Stockings.
being
Yeah, black and white stockings.
they were
Yep.
okay?
So here's where it gets interesting. So MGM has the rights to the ruby red slippers, nothing else, just
Oh,
the ruby
there it
red
is.
slippers. Because in the book, which is public domain, the slippers are silver. They're glittery silver.
Oh,
But the director said, if we're doing this whole Technicolor
hell
gimmick, we
yeah.
need to make these shoes pop.
Yes,
And therefore, that's how we got the ruby slippers, which
that
is
is awesome.
so cool, so iconic. Which also means in any adaptation, including Wicked the musical, included any Disney versions, they're not allowed to use the red, or else they have to pay MGM in order to do so, which is just crazy.
Oh my gosh, how
Um,
funny.
so MGM, we know, was part of what is now Hollywood Studios, but it was once called Disney MGM Studios. And
Hmm.
that was one of many, well, not many, but one of several Disney connections that we're going to talk about. So in the big movie ride, the Great Movie Ride, one of the most impressive scenes was The Wizard of Oz. So the big car with your movie host would go into, it looked like a full-on replica of the Yellow Brick Road Munchkin Land set,
Hmm.
and there were munchkins everywhere. They were singing. The freaking animatronic of the Wicked Witch of the West pops out with the smoke. I want to say she caught on fire like in the movie, but now I can't remember. Um,
I'm
yeah.
melting.
Oh, yeah. That's a different
Right?
scene, so I guess she doesn't.
But it wasn't from fire, was it? What was she melting from?
Water. She melts from water.
It was water. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was tripping.
But she like disappears into fire to leave. Like that's her teleportation.
Oh yeah, did she do like the bombs at the and then like dip
Yeah.
out?
Green Goblin. See, she's also a mutant in the MCU.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, they had that really cool scene. And so that was one place that if you grew up going to Disney MGM, you would have remembered Wizard of Oz there in that scene. And then I touched on it earlier when we were talking about Agatha, but Disney tried to make a direct sequel to MGM's Wizard of Oz. And because it was public domain, they didn't have to say it was a sequel. They just said it's a sequel to the book. So just talking
Oh,
about some of the legal stuff of how they did this. And then they made, there's actually a book called Return to Oz. It's not exactly like the movie, but they were also able to adapt that. And that's why it was so jarring and didn't do well. So Disney made Return to Oz. I want to say it was PG-13. It was pretty dark and kind of scary.
really?
Yeah. And it's so jarring. If you went from MGM Wizard of Oz musical to watching Disney's Return to Oz, it's like this 80s, like what? And nobody looks anything like their previous characters. There's this character named TikTok that is one of her pals, and then these creepy people on like wheels on like unicycles, and they chase you. Ooh. And then you have Fairuza Balk as Dorothy. So it's a lot. Didn't do well. And they kind of just said, all right, we did it. And then let's say
I just checked
years.
and it is on Disney Plus, so I will be watching that. And
Oh yeah.
I definitely remember TikTok. Like I remember him
Uh
super well.
it's
So
scary.
I need to rewatch that anyway. It's been a long time.
The villain is scary. She's like this lady, and I think you can like turn into trophies and like statues. Ooh. It's very of that time, like Dark Crystal,
Okay.
Labyrinth, and it has that vibe to it.
Right.
There's also a character named Jack Pumpkinhead, which could be the great grandfather
Huh.
of Jack
Right?
Skellington, right? There's a princess named Mombi, and there's like this character with changes heads. They can switch their bodies. It's just very different again than the beautiful musical that we grew up with. The Easter egg that I mentioned was in Billy's room, the poster of Fairuza Balk, and then they connected all the way back to Return to Oz, which they didn't have a poster of Return to Oz that I saw in Agatha. Um, but yeah, so Disney tried with Return to Oz, and then cut to 20, 30, 40 years later. Geez, it's 2013. Disney tried again with the Oz public domain, and they created Oz the Great and Powerful. So this was 2013. This was with James Franco. It was with homegirl from 70s show. What's her name? Ashton's wife. Ooh,
Is it? Oh.
I like her.
Oh
She has like
shoot, what's her
pretty
name?
eyes, like a New
She's
York
like
accent.
Russian girl, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What's her name?
So she was in it. Rachel Weisz was in it. Um, there's a bunch of characters. I mean, a bunch of known names in it. And it turns out that it did pretty well box office wise, and it had
Okay.
decent reviews. I at the time really liked it. I remember watching it twice in theaters, and this was the time when 3D TVs at home were a fad. And so I bought like the 3D DVD and I would watch it at home because it was also in 3D. And I thought it was really cool. It was pretty good. I was watching some YouTube reviews of it now, and some of the effects already look outdated. So maybe it might not be as good now. But I remember liking it. Do you remember watching it, and what do you think? What
I
did you
did not
think?
see it.
You
I didn't see
didn't?
it.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I still would recommend it to people if you're interested in just like, oh, what would be another take at this cool land of Oz? This
Hmm.
is basically a prequel about the guy with the hot air balloon that becomes Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Played by James
Gotcha.
Franco, and then he meets and encounters and does. There's a storyline with these two witches who end up becoming the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wicked Witch of the East, who has the house that falls on her.
Right.
So you get to see kind of how that all happens. And there's a lot of like Disney nods to things like Alice in Wonderland and to some of the witches of Disney. Like there's a scene where the apple gets poisoned, and then you find out that's what turns her into like the green witch that we know from Wizard of Oz.
Right.
But
Hmm.
again, this is just Disney creating their own origin story. It's not from a book or anything necessary.
They've built
So
onto it. Yeah.
what ended up happening was the Disney Studios who made it, the live action, they got a new executive, and nobody was prioritizing continuing with the Oz. The one who was championing it was the executive that was in the house before. So then it kind of just like fell, which was weird because it again made money and had decent reviews. And then a lot of people are saying that they kind of dodged a bullet because James Franco was getting into some public drama at the time too. So
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have been great to keep going with him. And then people at that time also started getting tired of these big budget, colorful CG looking movies that like Tim Burton was doing, like those
Right.
Alice in Wonderland sequels, things like that. So yeah, it was an interesting time, and I'm surprised it was like another one and done by Disney. I remember at the time I thought, oh my God, they're gonna build a land, or what can they do at the parks of this? Blah
Aw.
blah blah. Yeah. It was really cool. And then one thing that I could not find was Walt himself, his thoughts on Wizard of Oz. I don't know if I'm just not doing enough good research, but I couldn't find anything on it. And I thought he would have at least
Hmm.
an opinion on it because he liked those kind of
Yeah.
things, right? Um, like I'm surprised he
Man, I
didn't.
I swear it would be recorded nowadays, but back then maybe
Yeah.
they just, you know.
Like what did he think about it? Did he ever try to pursue it as a property to adapt? Because he did for Alice and Mary Poppins and all this stuff.
Hmm.
Narnia, they tried a couple times. So did Disney, the company themselves. Um, but yeah, so there it is. Wizard of Oz is all over the place. It's at the par it was at the parks. It's not now. Wicked is coming out. So just to be clear, not Disney at all. That is
Okay.
a novel that was written about how the Wicked Witch of the West came about. And at the time, it was one of the first novels written from that perspective. It got popular later, like these backstories of like Willy Wonka or Maleficent and how they became this and became that. But this was one of the first, was called Wicked. And apparently the book is not good. So,
Oh,
but without the book, there would be no worldwide fan-loved musical. So the
okay.
musical
That's
was
pretty funny.
adapted. Right? They
That's
adapted
like
it
the
on the
first
book.
time anybody's ever been able to say the movie is better than the book.
Yeah. Well, in this case, Broadway musical.
Or
So they took
yeah, the Broadway.
the story from that dude's book, which was the backstory of the Wicked Witch of the West, and they turned it into a musical and they changed a lot of the storyline. And it's one of the most beloved, longest running musicals. I've only seen it once live, but the movie's coming out next or in a few weeks, actually. But there is a park who already grabbed it, and it's Universal,
Oh
which kind of
shit.
goes well over there. Like, it doesn't need to be at Disney. I don't think so. I think cute, they have it there, so I can go see my Harry Potter, Nintendo, and then Wicked. But they're just kind of dipping their toes in it. There's like a ton of immersive experiences they're putting in both coasts park, temporary for the movie, and a lot of merch and things. But if this does well, I could see them maybe dedicating more cool things to it. It'd be nice.
Dang, are they opening a Wizard of Oz escape room?
That would be very good. That would be
Oh
good.
my gosh, it'd be so fun. You'd have to like find the Tin Man's heart, was it?
Oh, yeah, his heart.
And then the courage for the lion, and we did like
Oh,
find all their little missing pieces. That'd be so good.
growl. So
Brain
cool.
goes straight to escape rooms. All
Hey,
right.
it's public domain. Someone's got to have made one by now, don't you think?
Oh
We got to find it.
yeah.
We got to find that Yellow
Whoa,
Brick
okay.
Road.
I like it.
So yeah, so there's Oz. That was fun doing research, and it was all inspired by how much I enjoyed Agatha all along. But we did some other research too, because we have one of our first Patreon topics that we get to talk about on today's episode. And who did this topic come from, and what is the topic, Jen?
Yeah, so this Patreon topic came in from Andrew, and he was asking, are both of these pieces on here from Andrew under Patreon topic?
Oh yeah, well he basically
The
said
live
what
top.
Disney princes and rank them, um, and then he told us about some movie that I started looking into as well. Mentioned that there is a live action movie coming out,
Okay.
again similar to like the backstory of these famous characters. This is going to be a backstory live action about Prince Charming. which I don't even
Backstory.
know which prince that is.
I
If they're
never
gonna,
really thought about that. Yeah, wait. Prince Charming. Hold on. Isn't he from Sleeping Beauty, right? I always think he's from Snow White, but
no,
he's actually
Sleeping
no.
Beauty, that one has a
Oh, Prince
name.
Charming is Cinderella.
Oh, you're right. And is his name Charming? I think so. Casting rumors are already
I don't
sparking
know.
that
Forget it. I don't know.
Chris Hemsworth may be the prince. He's a little too mature, right? I think. Whoops, I was going to say old, but
Like he's old. Too
like
old.
stick to Thor and that kind of stuff. But anyways, yeah. So he gave us some fascinating stuff to do research, and of course, there's a little game involved. So you did guess where Prince Charming was from, which is Cinderella. I'm going to give you some other clues to see if you could guess which prince, or in some case, like just the man character that I'm talking about. This guy has an adventurous spirit and he wields a frying pan that his friend then continues to use also
I
to
was
fight
already
people.
thinking it. Flynn Rider.
Flynn Rider from Tangled. Yeah, I don't think he's an actual prince. That's why I was like second guessing. Do you know his real
Yeah.
name?
Absolutely not.
Eugene Fitzherbert. It
Not in my
comes up in the
life
movie.
did I know that one.
It comes up in the movie once, I think, and then she makes fun of him at the end about it because he
Oh,
made his name to
funny.
sound cute and sexy, Flynn Rider,
He's
but
like,
it's not,
yeah,
right? It is kind of porn-ish.
it
Um,
is.
and he's got
Definitely.
that
Especially that last name.
smolder, and then you see him at the parks swinging on that giant hammer thing. Okay, next one um, is yeah, I guess this is a prince. So they were once, or he was transformed into an animal by a curse. An animal, not a mythological creature or anything, an actual animal that
Okay.
we have in the zoo or wherever.
In the zoo. I was thinking of Prince Naveen.
Oh, yeah, you got it already. I
Okay.
didn't even have to
In
give
a
you the second
zoo.
clue. Prince Naveen. Yeah, I was like, where are they from?
A frog.
I was trying to be like, I'm not talking about the beast because that's not a real animal. I don't know what that is. It's like a
Yeah.
Frankenstein
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, Prince Naveen learns his humility because he's pretty pompous in the beginning of his story. He learns his humility from a hard-working, inspiring chef
Oh, okay.
who is Princess Tiana. I
Princess
think she
Tiana.
she becomes a princess because of marrying Prince Naveen, right? That's what I thought. I
Oh, yeah,
think.
it's the opposite way, huh? I think
I
so
think
too.
so.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta rewatch that one too. It's been a while, and then
Same.
ride the ride again after. Yeah,
Yeah.
like do it all together. So Prince technically and Prince now disguised himself as a prince at one point,
Oh,
and also gives up his most prized possession, which makes him a very noble person.
Prince Ali, aka Aladdin.
Aladdin disguised himself as Prince Ali, and he sure did give his last wish to free the genie.
He did. What a noble gentleman.
Noble
What a
gent.
distinguished gentleman.
Um, Jasmine's also one of the best at the time too, like one of the first of the princesses that like held her own because she was like,
Yeah.
no, I don't need some prince, whatever
Right?
her sassy
She's
thing
like,
was. Okay, you talked earlier about Sleeping Beauty Prince. Did you say his name?
no,
He
I thought he was
fights.
Prince Charming.
Oh, he
Sleeping
fights
Beauty.
off dragons.
Hmm.
He had more of a role than other princes before him in Disney animated movies.
He
Classic
doesn't
hero.
have a regular name, right? It's like some, oh, wait. Oh, it's a
Very
really weird name that we
plain
like never
name.
use also. Oh, Plain?
Oh, that you're thinking of the next one.
Philip.
Philip. Yes. Yes.
I love when those things just come to you. You're like, you just have to scream them out. Philip.
Philip. So very timeless prince, handsome outfit. He had a horse named Samson, which we talked about, I'm sure, in some horse episode in the past. Um, But yeah, and he saves Aurora, which is really nice. But the one final or OG prince, yes, has a very strange name that I don't think they say in the movie.
Oh, yes. Okay, I know this one. So it's gonna be the Prince is his name, and then it's Prince Florian something.
Florian, yeah.
Doesn't he have a last name too?
Maybe, I don't know. It's such a weird
I
name.
think it's the last name.
It's
Yeah.
very like I don't know, Bridgerton or Downton Abbey or something. Florian,
Yes.
Prince Florian. But yeah, that's the Snow White Prince, which they, by the way, in Brazil released a new trailer for the new Snow White live action. Still not interested in it, but that trailer came out today, which is last Friday if you're listening to this on Wednesday. Wow, wow. So, Andrew, our Patreon member who gave us this topic, also wanted us to rank our favorite princes.
Yeah. Wait, first, real quick,
Yeah.
on this live action Prince Charming movie,
Uh,
is this the first time we're gonna learn a lot about the background of, or like the backstory of princes? Maybe just the classic ones, huh?
I
Because
think
like
so.
Prince Eric,
Aladdin
we
was the
knew
first
his.
one that like he was the main
Oh
that I can
yeah, right.
remember.
You're
Yeah.
right.
The main character. Because even, yeah, Prince Eric was the first of the Renaissance where all the characters just were better in general. Like they were a little bit more fleshed out. And Prince
Right.
Eric had a role and he did have a backstory. And you learned about like he was, I think, orphaned or his mom
Hmm.
died or both parents or something. Um, so yeah, the princes, it's so hard to say that word without actually saying princess. The princes rarely have a decent backstory.
Right.
And so if they're calling this one Prince Charming, I'm also wondering if it is going to not be any one specific Disney prince and rather go the enchanted route where they create this new character that would be called Prince Charming that is like a mix of all the princes that we know,
Got it. Okay. Okay.
which I think would be better and kind of make it, campy and cheeky like Enchanted. But we'll see. Not
Right.
not too many details as of the recording of this have been put out. Um, and it also sounds like they're capitalizing on things like I mentioned earlier, Maleficent. Like people like to see the live action version that wasn't just Sleeping Beauty remake. It was about the villain in that
Yes.
case. And then even though it's not Disney, Barbie kind of did an interesting job, like turning this non-character thing into a living, breathing character with a story. So that is the cool thing to do right now. And they're jumping on it, Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like their Disney's response to MCU's multiverse is like, well, we can create
There you
crazy
go.
stories from different angles too. Watch
Yep.
this.
Yep. All right. Favorite Disney princes, like maybe your top three? Do you do it by
Top
looks or what do you do it by?
three. I know,
By
right?
their story, their personality, their
I
song.
was gonna go by personality
Okay.
and then looks a close second. Just kidding. Not really. Um, so top three, and one of them I don't know if we can, I think we can consider him a prince, but I'm a little like I don't on that one. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna say my top three are the Beast as my
Yeah.
third,
You know his name,
and
yeah?
as a prince,
Hmm.
it's Adam, Prince Adam.
Adam. Yep, you got it.
But I don't like Prince Adam. I just like the Beast.
Yeah, Prince Adam with his like flaring nostrils when he
And his like
transforms.
feathered hair, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't want any of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Beast, and then I'm gonna go Prince Eric for number two.
Okay.
I'm surprised he's my number two, but number one, you have to tell me if he's a prince because I don't know if his new wife at the end of said film was actually a princess or something else. Robin Hood, because
Oh,
he marries Maid Marian. What's a
what's
maid?
a
What's
maid?
that?
And when we talked about the Robin Hood movie, we learned that she had those
Like handmaidens
the
or whatever.
handmaidens
Yeah.
that princesses have.
Yeah, she was definitely royalty of some sort,
Yeah.
but she definitely wasn't like like related or anything to Prince John.
was.
So is that two different kingdoms? Like I don't really know
It's
who like what is a maid in royalty terms besides a handmaiden? That's the only thing I can think of.
it's funny because I think next week is when we're going to try a different recording style setup because we're going to be in person and we might have a friend on the side that can Google all this stuff for us
Oh
while we're talking
yeah.
about it.
Nicole, here's looking at you,
Yeah,
kid.
so it'll be cool. As I was Googling it, I did learn that she is technically a princess. Yep.
Okay, so Robin Hood's a prince. So yeah, there's my number one.
And it says because she's the daughter of the Earl of Huntingdon, and an earl is also considered royalty like a prince.
Ah, okay.
Um, this was according to the internet, by
Thanks,
the way,
internet.
BTW. Um, all right, that's a good one. I didn't even think of Robin Hood. I thought you were
Right?
going to say Aladdin because it was similar to the end where is he a prince? But yeah, I guess she's a princess, so you met her. But remember in the live action Broadway musical show we saw on the ship, she turned into the Sultan at the end. They like completely changed it. So is
Right,
he then a
right.
king or a queen?
Oh yeah.
Hey, hey, girl. Hey, yes, queen.
Queen Aladdin. Yes, queen.
But yeah, those are good picks. Those are good picks. I like the Beast. He's cuddly. I didn't think of him either.
Yeah,
Uh,
something about him I love.
he would keep you
But
safe. It's a little furry leaning, furry community.
yeah, and he's also like the kind of guy that you can like kind of run things with.
Yeah.
Like if you want to have like control over what the house is like.
You
Oh
can
wait,
just
that's
guilt
not
him
true
into
because he'll
doing
be
it.
like, "Don't touch that. Don't go in that room." And maybe
No, but
not.
I
It
think
takes
you're right because if you're, I mean, now we're going from ranking to if you were to marry the prince.
yeah,
But yeah, I think if you were his partner, Belle was able to whip him into shape, so you would do the same.
right.
Yeah, I see that.
He could be a little project like Clueless.
Yeah. Uh, oh wow. Ty,
Yep.
aka Brittany Murphy, rest in peace. Okay,
Rest in peace.
so my ranking. I'm gonna start with Prince Eric as
Okay.
my number one. I
Oh,
mean,
you went the other way. Number
number
one.
one, dark hair. Oh, wait, yours was the reverse? Three,
I
two,
just
one.
did lowest to highest.
Oh, okay. So Robin Hood was your number one. I thought it was
Yeah.
Beast. Okay. So my number one, I'll start with one, is Prince Eric. I mean, he's got the dark hair and blue eyes. That's like sizzle, handsome. It's also not very often to have that. In my mind, he's from like Spain. He's also rich, very rich. So I could
Oh,
just
that is true.
walk around the beach and sing my heart out naked if I want, and then have dinner ready for me. Oh no, but I would say I'd rank him number one. But now that I'm thinking about it, he wasn't that good of a guy, right? He was willing to just completely stop searching for this woman that he's searching so much for,
He was
and
put under
just,
a spell though,
oh,
right?
fine, you're right, you're right, you're
Yeah.
right, fine, fine.
And I think he even kind of kept snapping out of it a little bit. Remember how he was kind of like, wait a second. Like,
Oh, you're
like,
right. Like,
yeah.
especially when you would see Ariel's face, like in the sun. Okay,
Yeah, no, he was smitten by her for
I
sure.
forgive you, Prince Eric. So I will go back. You're still my number one. And aside from what I was thinking, but he does seem like a nice guy, I suppose. Oh, and he's a sailor. We love to explore the seas. Um,
Adventurous.
Number
Lots of
two,
travel. You love traveling.
love travel
Now we're
all
back
over the
to
world.
marrying again. What's going
Yeah.
on here?
So we're gonna change Andrew's topic. It's now rank the princes that you would live and
That
marry.
you want to marry.
There.
Okay, got it.
Number two, Aladdin. I mean, hello, he's Aladdin. He's very handsome. He's so much fun, also adventurous, very spontaneous, and he still gets
Broke.
to be friends with the genie. Oh, oh, you're right, because I wouldn't be Jasmine. I would just have him as Aladdin. Uh, he'd still have to have the genie as a friend, at least, even if
Oh
he's a
my
free
God.
friend.
Hilarious.
Yeah, rich to rags to riches. I think I'd slum it. I'd street rat it up with Aladdin. That's fine. It's cute.
Aw, that's
We
cute.
live like, a fun rebellious life together. Uh,
Stealing
third,
loaves of bread and shit.
Prince, still loaves of bread, apples. Um, third, Princes. You know, those old school ones are they had no personality.
None.
Philip, Florian,
They were just a
Charming.
placeholder.
They're just like a smudge on the thing. I'm going to say I I think he's a prince is Kristoff. Does he become a prince by Frozen 2? Did he marry Anna?
He,
He
yeah,
proposed.
yeah, I don't know.
I think at the end, right?
Wait, no, they hadn't. Yeah, they got married, didn't they?
I think so,
I
yeah.
think so.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Kristoff. He's adorable. He's thick, which is hot, and he's just like he seems like he'd protect you, and he's so caring. And also,
Yes.
he's voiced by Jonathan Groff, who I'm a huge fan of the actor Jonathan Groff. So there you go.
And you've been flirting with him for years on that game that you don't play anymore. So
Kristoff
it's
on the
about
Disney game.
time.
I can't even remember the game. What's it
Universe or
called?
something? Disney Universe, was it?
Disney
Oh my
Valley.
God, really? You were
Dreamlight
so
Valley?
into that. Dreamlight Valley.
Wow, the phases, the things just come and go. Wow. Okay, so we did go down a windy road today. It was a yellow brick winding road. We talked about Agatha all along, the connections to Wizard of Oz, Disney's connection to Wizard of Oz, and then we had a really fun Patreon topic from Andrew all about Disney princes.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. And thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed episode 215 of the Disney Holics Show.
Follow us on social media at the Disney Holics.
And if you'd like to get in touch, send us a DM on Instagram and or contact us at thedisneyholics.com.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.